Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow, rolling over and reaching for your phone. Actually, it's basically muscle memory at this point, right? But instead of your usual morning feed, you find a totally disconnected world. The internet, which is literally the invisible nervous system of our modern planet, has just vanished overnight. We take it completely for granted every single second of the day. But what actually happens when the plug is pulled on the entire globe? Well, today we're going to break down the immediate chaos, the surprising things that actually survive, and the massive, mind-boggling financial toll of a single day without the web. So, really put yourself in that scenario for a second. You roll out of bed. You tap on YouTube to get a morning video going. Nothing. Okay, you open WhatsApp to check the family group chat. Blank. You try Instagram, Google, even your favorite little weather app, and absolutely none of it connects. Every single website on Earth is unreachable. So what does this all mean? Would life as we know it come to a grinding, catastrophic standstill? Or would we, somehow just keep spinning? Let's dive right into this. Part 1, the first hour offline. Now, almost every single one of us would have the exact same initial reaction. We'd instantly blame our poor home router. You do the classic tech support dance, right? Unplug it, wait that agonizing 10 seconds, plug it back in, and stare at the blinking lights. It's incredibly relatable. But then, the terrifying realization starts to creep in. You look outside, you talk to your neighbor, you check your cellular data, and it hits you. This isn't just your Wi-Fi acting up. This is a massive global outage. The realization that the entire planet is completely offline would sweep across time zones like a literal shockwave. And with that realization comes the rapid cascading failure of all our daily comforts. These instant disconnections hit absolutely every layer of your routine. Text messages, they just fail to send. Millions of remote workers who are just settling in with their morning coffees suddenly find their VPNs dropping and their company systems completely locked out. If you're right in the middle of a Netflix binge, well, the screen freezes. Spotify goes totally silent. Online multiplayer games abruptly boot millions of players all at the exact same time. In less than an hour, the entire digital entertainment sphere and the remote workforce of the world are just left completely in the dark. Moving right along to part 2, money and movement freeze. You see, modern commerce relies on this massive invisible web of instant verifications. So in a blackout, modern conveniences are the very first things to go. Apple Pay, Google Wallet, mobile banking, they're completely dead. Online payments and digital money transfers fail instantly. But in a wild twist, suddenly old school cash is king once again. If you have physical paper bills, you eat. You can actually buy groceries. Now, some local closed-loop card payment systems might still function in a few places, but for the most part, if your wealth is purely digital, your purchasing power basically drops to zero for the entire day. And it's not just digital goods that stop moving. Physical goods completely freeze in place too. Now you might be thinking, well, trucks still have engines, why can't they just keep delivering? The reality is that modern logistics companies rely entirely on internet-based tracking systems. They need the cloud to know exactly what is in which truck, where it's supposed to go, and which route is the most optimized. Without that digital brain telling them what to do, the physical muscles of the global supply chain just freeze in place to avoid massive, catastrophic mix-ups. And speaking of moving around, our own personal transportation takes a massive hit. You step outside and try to book an Uber or a Lyft, totally useless. Trying to book a flight or check in online, that fails completely too. Now, what's actually incredibly ironic here is that your phone still knows its exact latitude and longitude. The GPS satellites orbiting the Earth are totally fine, and they're still talking to your device. But without the internet to download the actual map graphics or give you live traffic updates, you are effectively flying blind in your very own city. Which brings us to part 3, emergency and critical systems. Now, here is one of the most surprising and honestly reassuring facts of this whole scenario. Critical systems actually use independent networks. Airplanes do not rely on Wi-Fi to stay in the sky. They use dedicated radio and communication systems. So flights that are currently in the air would safely continue on to their destinations. Police, fire departments, and ambulances, they run on closed, dedicated radio networks. So yes, the airport online check-in completely fails, and sure, cloud medical records are inaccessible, but the actual physical critical infrastructure that keeps people alive does not collapse. In fact, hospitals are specifically prepared for this exact nightmare. Critical medical equipment like ventilators, heart monitors, the literal machines keeping patients stable, they are intentionally built to work entirely independently of the World Wide Web.
Doctors and nurses can, and absolutely will, continue treating patients. They might have to pull out a trusty pen and paper instead of pulling up a cloud-based medical history on an iPad, but the core, essential functions of saving lives just keep right on ticking. Let's look at the bigger picture in part 4, the billion-dollar blackout.
The sheer scale of the economic disruption is honestly mind-boggling. We're talking billions of dollars in lost revenue just evaporating every single hour. It is genuinely difficult to even wrap your head around a number that massive. When the internet shuts off, the entire global economy essentially hits a brick wall at 100 miles an hour.
This economic paralysis bleeds across literally every sector. Online sales halt entirely. Amazon, Alibaba, thousands of Shopify stores, zero transactions. The major stock exchanges in New York, London, and Tokyo would be forced to delay trading or just shut down completely because modern trading is entirely reliant on high-frequency data transfers. And it even hits blue-collar work. Modern factory production relies on these just-in-time automated internet systems to order parts and run assembly lines. Those would immediately slow down or halt. Customer support call centers worldwide, completely unreachable. The economic bleeding would be spectacular. So, how do we get through this? Part 5, Surviving the Disconnect. Think of this as your 24-hour lighthearted survival guide. Step 1, just flip a light switch. Look at that. The electricity still works perfectly fine. The power grid operates on its own secure infrastructure. Step 2, turn on your traditional television or a battery-powered radio. Those broadcast signals flying through the air, they still work perfectly. Step 3, talk face-to-face. You can actually just walk over and knock on a neighbor's door. Step 4, go outdoors. The physical world, surprisingly enough, remains entirely intact and waiting for you. And that really brings us to the core takeaway of this entire explainer. The internet is arguably humanity's most crucial modern invention. Even a single day without it shows us that it's not just a fun tool for cat videos or memes. It is deeply, fundamentally embedded in our communication, our global business, our travel, and the very structure of our daily routines. We have literally woven our entire civilization into this invisible digital web. So after seeing the true global scale of a blackout, the massive financial crash, and the sheer everyday inconvenience of not having your maps, your music, or your messages, I want to leave you with this one thought. Could you survive 24 hours without the internet? Would it be a much-needed, refreshing mental break for you, or would it drive you absolutely crazy? Take a second to evaluate your own daily digital dependence, and let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for exploring this fascinating what-if scenario with me today.